Sarah?
Yes, sir, Dr. Sullivan. Again, I'd like to welcome everyone and apologize for our technical difficulties. The password changed on YouTube and this computer is not allowing us to get in. Want to remind you guys that we intended on streaming this meeting on YouTube, but instead it is being recorded and we will post it on the LCTCS YouTube page and website as soon as it adjourns. Those joining by remote access are asked to keep yourselves on mute during the meeting. Please use the raise your hand feature if you have a comment or a question. When recognized to speak, unmute yourself and give it a few seconds before you make your comments. Then return to mute to avoid any background noise during the remainder of the meeting. If there's any trouble or any more trouble with the technology at this point, please let me know and I'll do my best. You may view the board items via the links posted on the LCTCS website or the ones that were sent to you. There will be a roll call vote at the start of the meeting and each motion will require a roll call vote for approval. Members, please state your name when you make a motion. Motions must be made by sound and not gesture. Public comments can be made during the meeting via conference call at 877-810-9415, access code 6499147#. The information is also in the notice of the meeting posted on the LCTCS website. Any public comments received will be read during the meeting by the board secretary or designee. Comments must include the agenda item number, a name, and a brief statement. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per comment. And Mr. Chairman, I turn that over to you to call the meeting to order.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. I would like to call this meeting to order, the November 3rd, 2020 LCTCS Executive Committee. Mr. Murphy, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I'll be glad to.
Flag is behind Sarah.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. Thank you, sir. As a point of order, or whatever Vinny would call it, I would like to add, as the chair, would like to recognize that Stan Salath and Stevie Smith, both supervisors, are joining us in today's meeting. Sarah, would you conduct a roll call?
Yes, sir. Supervisor Price.
Yes, here.
Supervisor Mount.
Yes, here.
Supervisor Jackson.
Here.
Supervisor Toops is absent. Supervisor Hardy, Timothy.
Here.
Supervisor Murphy.
Here.
Supervisor Salath.
Here.
And Supervisor Smith.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a quorum of the executive committee present for the meeting.
Okay, very good. I would like members, you have received the agenda, and in accordance with the Louisiana Revised Statute 4217.1, as presiding officer, I have determined that the matters on this agenda are considered critical or time sensitive and should not be delayed. At this time, I request a motion to approve the agenda and the consideration of the matters on it. I will ask Sarah to conduct a roll call vote of those in attendance.
So moved.
We have a motion by Ms. Mount and a second by Ms. Jackson.
Okay, Sarah, would you conduct a roll call?
Happy to, sir. And this is to approve the agenda and consider the items listed on the agenda per the new statute in our Constitution. Supervisor Price?
Yes.
Supervisor Mount?
Yes.
Supervisor Jackson?
Yes.
Supervisor Hardy?
Yes.
Supervisor Murphy?
Yes.
Supervisor Salath?
Yes.
Supervisor Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, please note that the outcome of our vote ensured that 2/3 of those present voted affirmatively. In fact, it was a unanimous vote to adopt the agenda and consider the items on it.
Duly noted. Thank you, ma'am. Would like to at this point seek approval of the meeting minutes from the July 22nd, 2020 meeting. We'll need a motion and a second.
I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a
Murphy
second.
and Ms. Mount, and we will do a roll call vote.
Ma'am.
Price,
Yes.
Mount,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Hardy,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Salah,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
That motion is approved.
Very good. Thank you. It's come to the time now where the chair of the board gives his report. I really don't have a report other than it's great to see everyone. I would like at this point now to turn it over to Dr. Sullivan. His report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I really appreciate each one of you taking the time to be a part of today's executive committee meeting. And I did note with interest the speed with which you were able to conduct a roll call vote there a minute ago. To just say you're getting good at it. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but you're getting good at it. And I also want to encourage each one of you, if you haven't already, get out there and vote. And that's one of those privileges that we have in this country that we surely can't take for granted. So I strongly urge you to get out and vote if you haven't already. Having said all of that, I only have one item on the executive committee on the president's report today, and that relates back to the budget. I think as all of you are aware, about 5 years ago, this board took action to establish the Fiscal Health Index, and Joe Marine has worked diligently with his team to pull together reports that outline the financial status of each one of our colleges. I do want to point out to you that we're in a bit of an odd time. We have a combination of really three forces. One is reduction in state general funds. Two is reduction in enrollment. But then three is a shift of state funding that originated with the federal government that would cause it to appear as though we had additional money in what you might think of as reserves. It sends a very difficult picture of our financial status to the publics, to policymakers and others. So I've asked Joe Marine to just take a few minutes and outline for you the current budget circumstance of the colleges. This budget picture is one that takes into account the first 90 days of the current 2021 fiscal year. And as we get through the second quarter, we'll certainly provide you with an update at that time as well. So with that, Joe, I'll turn to you.
Yes, sir. Good morning, members of the board. To recount or recap what Dr. Sullivan has said is we've been doing a fiscal health index review of our colleges for about approximately 6 years now. And in essence, to give you some good layout of how our colleges fare, you can divide our colleges into three categories. We have about a third of our colleges who are and traditionally have had a strong fiscal health fund balance as compared to their college operating budget. You have another third who are doing fairly well on their own. And then you have the bottom third, I would say, that are colleges who have been experiencing financial duress over the course of time. In particular, one of our colleges located in the central part of the state. So as we've gone through and gone through these budget cases and scenarios, as you may recall, obviously more than half, 60% of our budget comes from tuition revenues, which is strongly dependent, obviously, on our student enrollments. And as COVID-19 has hit and people have had to make personal decisions and choices and have been impacted economically, we've seen colleges experience enrollment declines this fall as compared to last fall. And in essence, their reports are indicating that as a system, we are probably going to suffer right now currently a projected $15 million, at least $15 million decline in tuition revenues than what was budgeted. And so also built into that budget, we have $16.5 million in CARES Act funding, which we were allowed to carry over into this fiscal year. So why is that important? That's important because as we go from this year, fiscal year 21, into fiscal year 22, those dollars are going to be non-recurred. So as colleges go into fiscal year 22, obviously the first preference is we have to make it through fiscal year 21, correct? And the way we do that is we will, to the extent we need to, is use our reserve funds where possible, that fund balance. And once that is done, then again, the non-recurring of the $16.5 million in fiscal year 22 poses a challenge. If those dollars are not filled or funded by the state, our colleges will then again have to figure out how to deal with that shortfall going into fiscal year 22. And also, given the uncertainty of where enrollments are, we don't know exactly what those will be also going into fiscal year 22, whether or not we will have a annualized reduction in tuition revenues from fiscal year 21 into fiscal year 22. So with that said, as our colleges deal with those self-generated declines, again, because of enrollment decreases, we are looking at our colleges, and particularly, again, that bottom third tier of colleges, those who have been experiencing financial duress. There is one in particular that I am concerned about for fiscal year 21 that we need to keep an eye on. But even if we make it past fiscal year 21, as we go into fiscal year 22, potentially we could have that tier struggle to make it past fiscal year 22, needing some substantive changes. And members of the board, I'm open to any questions you may have regarding this.
Thank you, Joe. And please know our intent here is to simply continue down the path of making sure that you are aware of the financial condition of these colleges. We will, as we get yet another revenue estimating conference report coming up in late November, early December. We'll give you an idea of what we anticipate as a result of that. And then, of course, spring enrollment numbers will be coming in that December, January timeframe. So we anticipate continuing down the path of providing you with those updates. But at some point, the thing I want to leave you with is updates are not enough. At some point, we're going to have to make hard decisions about closing this fiscal year and going into next fiscal year. And the question quickly becomes the scale of what changes are necessary in order to be able to accommodate that level of budget shortfall. So glad to answer any questions that you may have, and if there are none, we'll move on to the next item. Yes, sir, Supervisor Smith.
Hey, I didn't know if that thing was going to work. So, Monty, what is the time frame for making those decisions? I mean, like you said, that's going to be January, February. We really, you start to confect next year's budget, right? I mean, administrative budget is due like February 15th or some date like that. I mean, that's right, literally right around the corner.
So great question, and this is what we have been struggling with, I think, for probably the last 2 or 3 months. The difficulty comes in that you have a December revenue estimating conference that typically then provides the revenue estimate for the governor to build the executive budget. The question mark largely is around federal funding. The federal stimulus 4, which we had hoped would pass before the end of this Congress. Obviously, that's not going to happen. I don't imagine you're going to see a lame duck Congress come back and get the benefit, if you will, of passing a stimulus 4. So that being said, January 15th, thereabout, you'll see a new Congress seated. Within a month, we anticipate we would have some sense of the stimulus 4. So the saving grace in this could be a federal bailout, but the reality is that will buy us time, but that still will not solve the problem. And so our question, once we know what the December revenue estimating conference looks like, the spring enrollment revenue looks like, and stimulus 4, that would be the point in time where we need to make some decisions. Obviously, our expenditure base is largely spent by February of 2021 because we have committed to contracts, particularly with faculty, to get through the spring semester. So it's a tough set of circumstances for us. I think most of our chancellors have reached a point of recognizing that there are no changes that can be made of any substance between now and June 30th, 2021. The reason being is that we're trying to drive revenue as a result of the spring semester. But I do anticipate in the spring timeframe, probably March, April timeframe, we'll be coming back to the board with a game plan that sets us in place to be able to accommodate the 2022 budget. Obviously, the difficulty there is the budget still is not approved by the legislature, but I don't see us in a place where we can wait until June, July before we acknowledge the budget circumstance. And so the idea here is to make sure that the board continues to be updated along the way so that whatever steps we have to take, they're not a surprise to anyone. Supervisor Smith, a long-winded answer, but as you can tell, there are a lot of factors involved.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Other questions or thoughts? All right, hearing none, I will turn back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Supervisor Jackson, will you present the facilities action item for our consideration?
Be glad to, Mr. Chairman. We only have one item, and I'll read the item. Strategic Partnership Agreement between the LCTCS Facilities Corporation, the LCTCS Board of Supervisors, and anonymous donor. Joe, you want to walk us through the recommendation?
Yes, sir. I'll give a little bit of feedback for members. Obviously, Supervisor Smith has been intrinsically involved in this process, but as all of you may recall, in 2013, we had an Act 360 passed that provided for bonds to be issued contingent upon a 12% match, private match. One of those projects, or a few of those projects at Delgado related to their allied health program and a culinary arts program. And we had ventured into an agreement with LSU at one point in time to serve as that match. Unfortunately, that relationship ceased to exist this last summer, causing us to have to explore other options. And at which point, back in actually July 23rd, the Facility Corporation acted and asked that the program contracted program a person or company, CSRS, prepare an RFP, request for partnerships, for the Allied Health Initiative, which they then started working on. Then on September 21st, they brought it back to the Facility Corporation, the actual proposal for review and action, and it was approved to be released, which it was on September 25th. And we received proposals back October 20th with a selection group provided from membership of the Board of Regents, the Board Office, the New Orleans Chamber of Commerce, the LCTCS Foundation, the Delgado Community College, and the Delgado Community College Foundation to review each of those. There was 2 proposals submitted, one from a medical alliance or facility in New Orleans East, and the other one's more centrally located in New Orleans. The one in New Orleans East recommended or proposed to create a site off of Reed Boulevard. The other proposal requested that the City Park campus be used for that project. And in essence, based on those proposals, the New Orleans East value was roughly at about $8.5 to $8.7 million in terms of cash and in-kind contributions. The other one totaled roughly $10 million in construction, with another $10 million in scholarships and other funds. As such, on October 26th, when we met, the selection committee recommended that the partner, the anonymous partner in central part of New Orleans, be selected, at which point, October 29th, the Facility Corporation met and moved on that recommendation. So as part of this process, it requires both the approval of the LCTCS Facility Corporation and the approval of the LCTCS Board, which is why we are bringing this item to you today. As such, I'll read the recommendation. Staff recommends the board authorize the president and chancellor of Delgado Community College to negotiate and execute an agreement between the LCTCS the LCTCS Facilities Corporation, and an anonymous partner to act as strategic partners for the planning, design, and construction of the Act 360 Delgado Community College Nursing Program and Allied Health Facility Project.
Thank you, Joe. You've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion? Is there a motion?
Motion by Mr. Hardy and a second by Mr. Murphy.
Are there any questions? If no questions, all those in favor of the motion, sir, will you call the roll?
Yes, sir. Supervisor Price. Mr. Price, you're still on mute.
Yes.
Mount,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Hardy,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Salah,
Yes.
and Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Jackson, that motion has passed, but I believe that Supervisor Smith has a question because he has used his raised hand.
Okay.
And it's not really a question, just a comment, everybody. And I really wanted to make it after we had the vote that, you know, again, as Joe said, the Facility Corporation had a chance to review a similar recommendation in the last couple of days and endorsed it. Certainly, we've got to work out a more detailed agreement with the proposer to make sure all the commitments are frankly documented and fulfilled, if you will. We don't have any reason to think that they won't. I just want everybody to understand that we're going to, you know, we have a proposal now. We're going to flesh that out into some form of an agreement that obviously, you know, has the proper commitments and safeguards in it to make sure everybody does what they're supposed to do. So, and that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I want to just ask Chancellor Staub if she would like to make a few comments. This is the single largest gift in the history of our system. Just take that for a second and let that sink in. You may remember a few years ago there was a $10 million contribution to the foundation at Delgado that came from the United States Navy. This one will be more than double that total. I was recalling as I was driving in this morning in May of 2013 in front of Senate Finance when our good friend Norby Shawbear, then Senator Norby Shawbear, thought he was doing good work by adding a 12% match requirement to every project. And I'll remember Senator Shawbear thinking with a little bit of arrogance that we probably wouldn't make it to the 12% for those projects. Today, I'm reminded, not only have we met those requirements, but absolutely blown them out of the water. And Chancellor Staub, you've been there all along the way with this group. And while our former group at LSU was not much of a partner for us to deal with, I think we've landed in a good spot today. So I'll turn back to you and ask you to make a few comments.
Chairman Price, LCTCS Board of Supervisors, Executive Committee, President Sullivan, thank you for the opportunity to serve as the Chancellor of Delgado Community College. And Dr. Sullivan, none of this could have been done without your guidance and your leadership. You know, we are managing our way through a pandemic, and we are cleaning up after Hurricane Zeta. And through all of that, it is a great day at Delgado Community College. And that is because we have industry partners who depend on us each and every day to provide premier education and training. And those same industry partners, they never waver in demonstrating their commitment to the college. And this could be no more evident than in this strategic partnership. This partnership is a win for the college. It is a win for the communities that we serve. And it is a tremendous win for the students whose lives will be changed tremendously. I thank you so much for this opportunity and for all of the support that you give to all of the colleges. Thank you, Dr. Sullivan, and thank you, members of the Board of Supervisors.
I want to make one final comment about this item. we hesitated a bit to hold an executive committee meeting today, but I want to go back in time a bit. It was about 2+ years ago when we had made the announcement of a partnership with LSU for this campus. 18 months later, we had made very little progress in that relationship. We were approached by this current partner and asked if we would like to work toward an arrangement, an agreement. They were very generous in their offer at that time. And as a result of just sheerly trying to maintain relationships in the community, we agreed to go through a process that is identifying a strategic partnership, and they stuck with us through that process. They could have walked away at any point, but they chose to stick with us. As a result of that, given this selection, I did not want them to have to wait until the December meeting of the Board of Supervisors to execute on this deal. It's too important of a relationship with Delgado and frankly with all of the colleges across our system. So thank you for committing the time today to get this one done, put it behind us, and allow us to move on and get this project underway. Very much appreciate your commitment. Mr. Chairman, we'll turn back to you.
All right, thank you, sir. After such a rocky start, we sure had a good ending, I'll have to say that. Is there any other business to come before the board? Any announcements from anyone? I request a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Price. We did not receive any public comment requests via email or via the phone system. And so I wanted to put that on record that there was no request for public comment.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am. So I guess we can adjourn now if anyone wants to make a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Salath and Ms. Mount.
Do we need a roll call?
Yes, we do. Supervisor Price,
Absolutely, yes.
Mount,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Toops,
He would say yes.
here, Tim Hardy, Mickey Murphy,
Yes.
Dan Salath,
Yes.
and Stevie Smith.
Yes.
We have a unanimous vote to adjourn, and this meeting is adjourned as of 10:56 a.m.
Thank y'all for being a part of it.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Thank you all. Appreciate your patience.
Y'all be safe.